What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you being here. It is after Thanksgiving. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving in 2020. It's been a tough year for all of us. So today, what do we want to talk about? I want to focus specifically on something simple. So stay tuned because I'm going to give you something really valuable here in the sense of how we change how we're feeling every day. If you've had a crappy day, maybe a crappy week, maybe a crappy month. Some people have had a really crappy year. And it can be really hard to get beyond, right? It's a tough environment. It's a tough economy. Some people have lost their jobs. Some people have lost family members that they love and hold dear to them. A lot of people have suffered a lot of loss, and we don't want to minimize that. That's a tough situation for anybody to deal with. What we want to focus on specifically today is how you're feeling about things day to day and how we change that, how we make the most of every day, every week, every month. Even in hard times. This is especially true for good times, but it's really, really helpful for hard times. This is something that was major to me in my life. I learned from a good friend of mine, Stephen Hilgert, who has worked for Tony Robbins or with Tony Robbins for a very long time. Now we work closely together in separate businesses. It's a very simple statement for you, something that you could potentially remind yourself whenever you are having a really bad time, or especially when you get a lot of bad news. Right? And that is simply this: trade your expectations for appreciation. Your world, your perspective can change instantly, just like that in a snap. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Maybe we've heard that. Maybe you even heard me say that in the past. What does that really mean? Let's say you're driving to work and you're driving down the road and some guy cuts you off. And then to boot, he flips you the bird. What a jerk, right? He's definitely not in the right. You are. But what does that mean to you? Right? You expected him to signal properly, letting you know, so you could potentially even make room for him. And none of that happened. But what does that mean for you? Do you hold on to that the rest of your day? Do you fuel that anger, that frustration, and do you put it on somebody else? Maybe you just, the worst of it all being you put it on yourself and it affects what you do day to day. I mean, let's be honest. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? We want to trade our expectations of other people and of ourselves into appreciation for what's happening for us in life and not just everything happening to us, right? And we'll get to that piece in a later video. But let's talk about the guy in traffic. You were right. But nothing can change that, right? That's completely outside of your control. So what I mean by trading your expectations for appreciation is simply this. You expected the guy to signal before he gets in your lane, but he didn't. Oh well, right? The great thing is that you can appreciate that he didn't actually hit you, he didn't cause an accident, and maybe he got one car in front of you. Hopefully no harm was caused, and the day rolls on. Right? We appreciate that nothing bad happened and we move forward. The reason why, and that's a simple example, the reason why we focus on this in all aspects in life, right, is because negativity is all around us. We can find it anywhere. It's available all day. And if we focus on that and we have built up expectations for other people constantly, we're going to be upset constantly because we have expectations set out for things that are far beyond our control. And that puts us in a situation where our mental state, our emotional state, is constantly outside of our control. And that sounds like a recipe for disaster, doesn't it? If you said yes, you are absolutely correct. It is a recipe for disaster. One of the number one causes of conflict, both in your life, in relationships, in business, etc., is mismet expectations. And a lot of times we do the worst to people, right? We put expectations on that they don't even know about. So you come home from work and you expect your spouse to have made dinner because she has every night previously. She's been tired, she's had a rough day, or he or she is tired, she had a rough day, and that didn't happen. Now you have a mismatched expectation. You expected dinner to be on the table and it wasn't. What happens then? You're frustrated, you're angry. Now you've brought in negativity into that environment. So where does this apply here? Trade that expectation for appreciation. Every day that food is on your table, appreciate the fact that you have somebody there to make dinner for you, that you have the money for a home to come to and the food on your plate. And this can get exhausting over time, right? It's like always thinking about, oh, I have all these things. When do I get used to it? Well, you can get used to it. My point is simply stop adding expectations unnecessarily that create opportunities for negative interactions and negative emotions to be passed around your household and even inside your head, because it blocks your ability to do good work, love each other, and really have a positive experience in life. These are the building blocks of what roll into things like sadness and depression and frustrations. And when people are really having a tough time in life and everything seems to be coming at them, this is what happens. They start building this expectation of the world and how it works, but that's not how it works. And we want to be able to move on from that, right? We want to be able to grow. Nobody wants to live in a negative state. Some people do. It meets their needs, but for the most part, and especially if you're watching this video, you probably don't want that outcome. And this is a simple way to start evolving that. So think about that on your own, right? Trade your expectations for appreciation. Think about throughout the day, today, what expectations you've put on yourself, what expectations you've put on others, what expectations you have of the world, right? What are you expecting someone to do or someone to say even? Maybe you're expecting for something to happen because it's happened like that in the past, or you've heard it's going to happen like that. Maybe you expect yourself to be doing better than you are right now, right? Here's a big one. I'll throw this in right before I end this video. This is a major thing that I deal with clients of mine, right? Is they have an expectation that they should be further along than they actually are. Or maybe they are upset at themselves because other people had an expectation of where they should be and they're not yet meeting that. What kind of state does that put you in? Does that put you in a more positive state? Does that make you want to move forward and move fast because you're feeling upset and sad about where you are? No, it doesn't. It doesn't help us at all. What we want to do is take stock of where we are and appreciate the fact that we're actually there and that we have people in our life that, sure, maybe they have expectations of us, but if they have an expectation of you, they're in your life for some form of support. And if they're not, we can get rid of them. But if they are, and they're there, and they want to see you do better, appreciate that fact and start changing things to get to those points that you want to get. You are not supposed to be anywhere in life than where you are right now. You are a product of all your decisions. You're a product of how you see the world and what you do in it. There's nowhere else in the world you should be than right where you are right now. Let's appreciate that fact. If you want to be somewhere different, let's get on that path. But for the time being, let's stop beating ourselves up because of all these expectations that people put on us, and these expectations that we put on ourselves is not getting us any closer to where we want to go. So think about that today and think about how it can work in your life and either pull you up out of tough feelings or maybe prevent you from ever getting there in the first place. So think about that. If you have questions about it, absolutely present them either in the comments below, or you can send me an email. And hopefully it's something that can change your life in the future. All right, till next time, be well.